Youth service over, she left for Lagos with a clear idea of her next line of action. Friends rallied round her when she shared her idea with them.
I shared with a friend of mine. I was holding a house fellowship in their house then, and she told me that her mom had a shop right in front of their house that she's not been using, that probably I should talk to her. And being a house fellowship leader then, it was easy for me to, because she's like my mom too, so I went to meet her. Mommy, this is what I plan to do. So she gave me her space. So I shared with some other friends, about 7 of us, and they came together and assisted me to move the things in the shop into the BQ.
She needed money to run the outfit, and her business acumen was awakened. She borrowed 45,000 naira from her father to start a bookmark business.
He never knew I was starting at HU. He thought it was my usual business. I was starting all over. So I borrowed the 45,000 from him, and that was how we made plenty of the bookmarks. And we started selling, just myself and one other girl. She was in last two then.
At first, she waited for the money to accumulate, but in a second thought, decided to give out the little she made from time to time.
The first place that we supported was Old People's Home at Onike. Gradually, individuals started knowing, and they started approaching us, and we went into the aspect of individual support.
Soon after, a major disaster happened in her neighborhood.
2 to 3 years after we were there was a fire disaster in Iwayad. About 97 families were affected. The whole street was burnt down. And when I was told, I went there, I said, God, where will we start from? Started inviting them down to our office. Got some friends that already knew what I was doing. Then, I was through my NYC, so more people started knowing what I do. And we made letters and started distributing around the community. So we went to all the other, eyebrow areas around. I started telling them to give us clothes. Sensitizing them about the incidents and telling them about jacking, that they could give us used items. For complete 3 months, we had heaps of clothes in front of our office. People just come, pick. Then we started interviewing each family to assess what did they lose. So when we were through for those few months, we now found out that most of them were trying to restart their lives, but it was difficult because they were squatting and they could not even get. Some of them still share stove, share pots, share this, share buckets, their children, school fees and everything. They still have to think about school items for their children. So all those other fundamental things was like a major punishment to them. So we just agreed within us that, okay, why don't we see how we can work around giving each family a storage drum, a 60-liter storage drum, a brand new kerosene stove, 25-liter jerry can, 6 plates, 6 spoons, 6 cups, a turning stick, 2 cooking spoons, then 2 pots. Then what else do we give them? Then I think just basically those stuffs like that.
That sorted out, more people got interested in what she was doing and started supporting her.
From the first person that will collect your data, your name, your phone number, your email, your address, and we're putting together the database. Every month end, we'll do one small e-newsletter, send it to them, tell them what we did in that month. So gradually, people started picking interest.
The program she started in Zamfara grew in leaps and bounds.
I remember there was a flood disaster in Zamfara State too, when their dam broke, and we were informed that quite a number of villages were wiped out and they were in camps. We went with a J5 load of clothes I followed the bus to myself, from Lagos all the way to Zamfara State to go and give them in the camp.
Welcome back. That was the first part of Bukola's story. Now we know where she's coming from. There's a second part. We're going to see some of the people she's been a blessing to. But we have to warn that you may find some of the pictures a bit disturbing. But stick around. The program is live. Many people around us need help, but this organization knows how to single out the ones that need her services.
When you come in, we fill a benevolence form for you. Once we fill that form, we find out if you are coming with health issues and you have drug prescription, we can help you with drugs as long as we have the resources. 2, on the spot also, we can give you clothes, foodstuffs. Once we can see obviously that you need them, then the next step is for us to verify you. We go and visit that person at home.
Though Jackin reaches out to most people in need, Bukola maintains that there are core areas.
1 is orphans and vulnerable children. 2nd one, widows. Then 3rd one, people living with HIV. Then youths, basically in and out of school youths. Then the last set, because just the less privileged families. There was one elderly woman that came last year. She's about 82 years old. She takes care of a set of twin boys. And my mind was just going through. I just said, go and look for this mama, because our children are no more and these are grandchildren. My mind just kept on going to her. Then we got to her, she didn't have any food. Look at the case of the lady that the child was in the hospital for 2.5 months. We had known about her case that January, that her husband died in January, and she had 6 children. She was pregnant with the 6th one, and she was a very young widow. She was just 30 or so. So we set her up in a small business. All the children had dropped out of school since when we got to meet her. So we had to re-enroll them in another school because they had moved away from where they were living before. Put all the children back in school. And they were members of our children's club. So on that particular day, it was in September or October, they were having their children's club meeting, and I came and I just saw I heard she delivered on a Tuesday, and I just saw somebody leaving before prayer was said, closing prayer was said. And I said, who is this person leaving before prayer is said? She just answered, say this woman. No. I just said, the one I just delivered on Tuesday? I said, yes. I said, okay. I just counted the children. I saw that instead of 5, the 6th one is still the one she's nursing. There were 4. So I said, where is the 5th child? And that was the boy. She said that the boy is ill. I said, what happened to the boy? She didn't come to tell me. I was one that I asked her, so what happened to the boy? He said the boy's hands and legs are swollen. The boy cannot poo for a week. The boy is no more eating. The boy was given an overdose of drugs. When she took her to a hospital, this and that. I said, go and bring the boy. And she went to bring the boy. And that was how the journey began. That day, we took the boy to about 5 different hospitals. My husband is a doctor, the medical doctor, but it's into public health too. I told my husband about it. My husband followed us, and doctors were on strike. So, in fact, my husband paid the 30,000 in the last hospital that accepted. The boy needed blood. The boy needed oxygen. The boy would have died that day if I didn't just ask the boy. And meanwhile, when I asked my staff to just take the boy to a hospital, I had even forgotten that doctors were on strike. The doctor that attended to them was just sheer favor. Just said they should go and run a test in a private lab. We paid for that one, and the man said they should rush the boy to Lut. Unfortunately, Lut was on strike also. So we called one of the pediatricians that had come to train the children before. So the lady said, okay, she's not even around, but let them see what they can do. So my husband said, being a doctor, let him follow us, and that was how he followed us. From there, we took the boy. They did not have a bed space for the boy in Lut. In fact, the woman used all her influence to see how they could, and the boy needed oxygen and blood seriously. From there, we took the boy to a federal medical center. They couldn't take the boy. Took the boy to another private. That day, we got home 5 minutes past 2 a.m. Myself and my husband and my staff. And as we were driving into the estate, they called us back again from Bagada, from a private hospital that finally took the boy. And they were telling us that we should come and take the boy again, that they did not have blood that could match his blood. I told them, I said, God will sustain this boy till the next morning. Got home, we just knelt down and prayed for the boy's recovery. The next morning, 6:30, I called the doctor. They said miraculously the boy's PCV rose without collecting blood, and that they didn't even need to give the boy oxygen. As I still got to my church that Sunday morning. I said, okay, from church I will come and check the boy. They called us again from the hospital, and that time the mother and the newborn baby that they've not even named were the ones in the hospital with the boy. On that same Saturday, I was telling my husband that this boy's case, I hope it's not going to be a serious case, that we don't have a dime in the office towards this boy's treatment. My husband was supposed to travel that weekend. He used his travel money to pay for that boy's treatment at that private hospital. And that afternoon, as I was still thinking in my mind that, God, what's going to happen to this boy if we don't get money? My husband said that, he was telling me that, look, Shebi is you. If God said you should help this boy, He will send the resources. This is not the first time God has done it for you. Just have that faith. My phone just rang. A partner just called me and just said, okay, as I said, she said, do we have any emergency on our hands? I said there's emergency. But I don't know how bad it's going to be. She just said, okay, I should send somebody to pick up a check on Monday. On that Saturday, the Sunday morning, as I was still sharing with my pastor, please pray with us on this case, this and that. We don't know what is going on yet. The pediatrician just called us from that private hospital and said, okay, that their pediatrician was just arriving. It was just another doctor that saw him. And the pediatrician said that from what they can see, it looks like the boy had twisted intestine. And that the boy would need an urgent surgery. I was just looking at, in a private hospital, where do we want to start? Immediately after we dropped the phone, the doctor in Lutz just called me that they found the bed space. Definitely Lutz will be cheaper for us, so we just headed straight for Bagada. Getting there, a child that has not been eating and has not poo-pooed for a week. When we just checked the poo-poo, we just saw worm coming out. Big worm, as big as my finger. When we got to Lutz, almost 6 doctors were examining just this boy. I was watching them. The next thing, that doctor that we knew carried the boy herself with my husband. They were rushing to where they were going to do X-ray. I was wondering what was going on. The boy's heart had shifted to the other side. That day we left Lutz around 9 p.m. with the mother and the baby still left and the child that is sick. The next morning, they were to do an emergency surgery for the boy. They said his chest was filled with pus and they had to start draining on Monday morning. That same Monday morning, the partner that called me on Saturday that do we have any case that we should send somebody to pick up a check, gave us a check of 100,000 naira. By the time that boy was discharged, after 2.5 months, we had spent over 250,000 that we could not trace. Another person was brought here that had hernia, a little boy that had very terrible hernia, very, very terrible, and we did the surgery for the boy. And from there, we were able to set up the mother in a business.
14 people are on her payroll. About 300 volunteers help out when there's a major event.
I've been working with Jacken for 5 years now. Jacken is a good place to work because we see ourselves as a family in Jacken. We do things together. We're involved in decision making.
We come together. We have a deliberation on some tasks to be carried out. I see it happening. Even while we don't have resources to meet it, I see it happening.
In everything you do, she will tell you to put God first and to think deep before you do anything.
I used to be a very shy person. I don't know how to look into people's eyes, and she has really taught me a lot. Working here, I've gained my confidence, my self-confidence.
Bukola's husband tells us the kind of woman he married.
I married my wife. I married my friend. I married my partner. I married the same visionary. I married a person I know can take care of me and my children. She's a go-getter. She loves children. She loves widows. She loves people who are burdened in one way or the other.
Bukola Adebi, through her non-governmental organization, has assisted over 10,000 less privileged people in the areas of sponsorship through school, healthcare, job provision, welfare for prisoners, and many more. War victims in Sudan and Liberia have also benefited from her. This she does full-time, and one wonders how long she will be this benevolent.
When you say how far can I go, I'll just say I can reach heaven, because all I need is God, and I can outrightly say He has never disappointed. My greatest dream is that in the next 2-3 years, God will provide us with a land in this same environment that we have been in, and build a 2-story building. We still have a very important project that is dear to us that we are yet to start.
Bukola Adebi believes that she's fulfilling destiny. Putting smiles on faces brings untold joy and fulfillment to her. That makes life beautiful, she says.